Well, gang, didn't have much time at all to shoot video at this year's 54th annual Portland, Indiana Gas Engine and Tractor Show. That wheel, which is the opposite wheel that had the hub burn up on it, some of you may remember, is loose. So I need to jack it up and tighten the bearings up on it. I noticed it doing just a tiny bit of wobbling, so I kept real close eye on it to make sure it wasn't going to overheat the hub. And the shop is a train wreck. I haven't touched Ugly Alice since getting it back from the show. Never even had time at the show to mount the stickler and split any wood, which is what I had intended to do. But Ugly Alice was seen by many, many people and appreciated. I didn't even get the belly blade mounted. I took it with me, but I didn't get it mounted. Didn't get the bucket mounted. Just a lot of stuff didn't happen because I was so busy working on other people's broke stuff. I use stuff as an alternative word. But the shop's packed. Legacies, Squires, Alice B10s, Triple X back there, Trader, Smokey, Garfield. I did order some OEM keys. These are pretty easy to find as long as you have an original that has the number on it. All you have to do is Google Honda and the number, and then your keys are going to show up. So if you have a vintage Honda with only one key, you can get you more. And these are factory OEM. Even the ridges are chrome plated. So brand spanking new. A little bit more on Garfield real quick. I couldn't stand it. I absolutely couldn't stand it. I was trying to get ready for the show, but Garfield was like, dude, you know you want to tinker. So I did. So this is just full disclosure. Fortunately, this bike was stored the proper way. I do need to take the carburetors off and go through them, clean them up, reset the floats, bench sink them, and then vacuum sink them once they're back on the bike. So we'll be pulling those off at some point in time. But went through, checked things out, adjusted the timing chain, checked the valves. All the valves are in perfect adjustment. And I did all this off camera. I apologize. You can go to Classic Octane. He's got a channel that concentrates a lot on these older vintage Hondas, and specifically the CB550Fs. So we've got to get a new brake caliper or see if we can't resurrect the old one. But I digress. Put some fuel in the tank, checked for leaks. We knew that we had one line over here, drain line coming from the carburetor, that has a screw in it. I didn't pull the screw out. It was weeping around it, but as you can see here, the end of this is just a little bit wet. It's just residual because the bike hasn't been started in weeks, or over a week. But I did say started. This bike, the very first hit of the key, or not the key, but the very first hit of the starter button does nothing. So I breached the starter solenoid. This thing fired up and idled off choke, just straight away, right away. So the first start didn't happen on video. I was just checking to make sure I had spark, and the thing just fired right up on me. Should have waited to put fuel in it, I suppose, huh? But then I did a little bit of cleaning on the chrome, and the chrome came up just beautifully. I did just a little bit here. I did this exhaust. Something that I need to do is, this is the bipod stand. That tinging you're hearing is that bipod stand resting against the muffler. So need to remedy that just by putting a spacer up underneath here to keep the kickstand from touching the muffler. Now, done with Garfield. Let's get over here. What was my haul this year? Usually I'll go get a bunch of stuff. I didn't bring the other bag out that just has a couple of little incidentals, like my PTO covers that I get that are 1-inch diameter. You guys know that I collect bottle caps and the like. So this is a really neat old vintage corkscrew. I just really liked the design of it. And it's crude, it's cast iron, and the casting is rough, but I just thought it was neat. So I picked that up. I picked this bottle opener up that had a corkscrew incorporated in it. Never saw one like it. I've got a number of bottle openers similar to this, but none exactly like this. This is actually, let me turn it over. See if you, what does that resemble? In case you hadn't already read it, what does it resemble? Doesn't it resemble the Canada Dry Crown? That's what it is, Canada Dry. So I picked that up, and then picked up this cool old vintage stamped steel Coca-Cola bottle opener. I got the show's medallion, the show's plaque, and then the show's magnets, which I do every year as well. And then I also got a wolf whistle. This works on vacuum off of your engine. And back in the old days, just everybody had them. It's kind of like the cat calls when you see a pretty girl and she's walking by and you give her a little whistle to let her know you approve. That's what this does. It's untested, but I couldn't pass it up for the price. I only paid $6 for it. I paid, I don't know, around $30 for all this, and you'll see that there is a spark plug feeler gauge here too. And I don't use these. I use the type that drag through. Oh, there's something else up in the house that I got that I need to bring down and show you guys too. I don't use this type. I use the type that you drag the wire through, but I've started also collecting different types of spark plug gapping tools. So we'll come over here, and this one is a Champion. I think the other one that I have is an AC Delco, but it's the same size. But I am wrong. It's another Champion. It's just like this one. That's okay. Doesn't hurt to have two. I knew I had an AC one, I just didn't remember which of the two were the AC. So there we go. I just got all three of them there. We'll find them a better home. Now, 2019 needs to go right there. And I've also got some decals that I got from my buddy Bryce that I need to find a really cool place for, because it's a really cool decal. What I'm going to be working on today, and what you guys will come along for a ride on with me on, is, well, tightening that up's no big deal. I'm just going to pull the cap, take the cotter pin out, tighten it up, put a new cotter pin in. That's through the castle nut. No big deal there. But this one over here on the pontoon, Labor Day is coming up. Mama Sue wants the pontoon in the water, so we have two things to do. First thing, you can see I've got jack stands under the trailer, and you can see all this grease here. We kinda lost the bearings just a little bit. I think the back bearing is still there, but the front bearing, it's MIA. I'm just really hoping that the hub is all right. We will find out. It has sheared the nut. You can see the nut moving. So it sheared the nut. Bummer on that, but hopefully the spindle is okay and the hub is okay, so we can just install new bearings in it. If not, we won't be able to get the pontoon in the water on Labor Day unless we really limp this thing back out to the reservoir, which is about 7 miles away. And then we're going to be taking the bottom of the motor off, the lower unit, and this lower unit is missing the zinc foot, which should be here, so I have to order that and get that in. You can run the boat without it. It'll be okay. I would rather not run it without it, so we're going to try to get a hold of that and the bolt that it attaches with. Why it's missing, I don't know. But the zinc anode that goes here, but we'll get it. We did change the lower unit oil in it this year, but the water pump, which resides back in this area down here, needs to be replaced. So we'll be able to get that apart and take a look at things. Yeah, and the trailer, a shame that's yet to be worked on. Fortunately, Kyle is not in a big hurry for it. So I'm gonna actually pause the camera and I'll see you guys upstairs so I can show you what else I got at the tractor show. Nothing spectacular, but it is something else. So hang on. Okay, just a real quick setup here. I'll turn the light on. I bought this tin. There's stuff in the tin. Let's see what's in there. And the only reason I bought it was because it's just full of all kinds of neat goodness. The only thing in here that wasn't in here was this set of 8-point larger sockets, 11/16 or 5/8. I think that's 9/16, ½ inch, and 7/16. So these are invaluable with the square nuts that I come across a lot. So that was not part of the deal. Everything else in here was. So this is a screw holder. You just turn it and lock it into place and it will hold a screw nice and still until you release it, so that you can do really fine detail work. It's a bunch of screwdrivers. These last three are indicators. They have induction lights in them, I think they're called, but they're little testers, little Craftsman flathead screwdrivers. They're all flathead screwdrivers. So there's that. Then we have the drag type spark plug checkers that I was talking about that I like to use. Here's another set of drag type. And we have numerous test leads. This wood handle over here is a homemade starter, which I thought was kind of neat. This right here is dial-a-gap, and I'm not sure for what vehicle or what type of points, but it is for setting the gap on points. That was in there. And just all kinds of feeler gauges, big and small. Just there's another, yep, there's another pair, and there's another pair. So I am feeler gauge poor right now. And how many of you guys remember these being on Grandpa's keychain or Dad's keychain? This is a Sears and Roebuck one. It's kind of old, so I'll put that with the spark gap stuff. Then we have just some different testers, different types of testers. I am not sure what this one is. It doesn't make sense to me. It has cloth wrapped cord and probably 10 needles on the end of it. So if you guys know what that is, let me know, please, because I don't know. Is that it? I mean, I'm clueless. So if you know, please share your wealth of knowledge and let me know. That pretty well rounds out what was in there. And then one last thing that I purchased, which is just one of my nerdy little things that I collect. I collect ink pens, and some of them are higher end ink pens, some of them are just pens that I thought were cool. The one that I got is, I guess you'd call it a entry-level high-end pen, and it's just a Pelican. You guys look up Pelican Classic if you want to. Just a rollable Pelican pen. Writes absolutely beautifully, just gorgeous, and it's actually a very, very deep purple resin, made to look black, of course, but you shine a flashlight in it, translucent, much like Mont Blancs and pens of that nature. So that was everything that I picked up. We're going to go ahead and end this video. This is your friendly neighborhood Zippo. Let me put this up here so you guys can see my happy little face, maybe. I'm going to go ahead and end this one, and then we'll get on the wheel bearing and hub assembly on the pontoon boat and see what kind of shape that's in a separate video. If you guys like this little update of the post 54th annual Portland Gas Engine and Tractor Show, give me a like. And I missed a couple of friends this year at the show, and I wanted to give a public apology to them. They know who they are, and they know why I'm apologizing, and I hope that that all their endeavors in life go well. Friendly Neighborhood Zippo. I promise you guys I'll see you on the next one. If you're not subscribed and you want to, you can click right down there on my smiling face to subscribe. Hit the bell icon for notifications. Over here's a video, and over here's a video. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later. I'm out of here.